Can we restart that? I cannot believe I said that. Okay, hold on. As you guys can see, this is the third iteration. I can't. Oh no.
I'm just gonna leave that clip there for you guys to try and guess what Patrick was talking about. We film a lot and we goof off a whole lot, and I end up having to cut out a lot of our interviews and just stuff just because we joke around too much. But let's play, try and guess what Patrick was talking about in the comments below, I guess. Anyways, today's video is another video with Patrick. We're going to look at his Lambda Labs project, but there's this one thing I want to talk about because every time I make a Lambda video, there's always these comments in the description that are like, you don't need a code bootcamp, you can do all this stuff without doing a code bootcamp, and you're not wrong. I don't disagree. You don't need a code bootcamp to do any of this stuff. If you're laser focused, you have the discipline to do it, and you can maintain that schedule for a long amount of time and have the rigor to keep going, the perseverance to keep going when you hit those obstacles, yeah, definitely possible. But I found that most people, including myself, they can maintain that starting out, and then you hit one roadblock, and you're like, oof, what was that? I don't really like that. And then you hit another roadblock, and you're like, I'm not sure if this is for me. And then you hit another one, and you're like, yeah, I give up. This isn't for me. And then you just stop. I thought I could do it, and then I finally got to that point where I was like, yeah, I probably can't, or I'm not going to be motivated to do this. I need some form of structure. That's the whole point, really, of these videos, is to showcase what a code bootcamp is like, what the student learns, what the student gains, what the student benefits from having this structure and this kind of academic, you have all these other people around you, you have someone you can go to, is to showcase what this is like. And I've made videos with other people that are self-taught to showcase what that's like. It's doable both ways. And anyways, I just wanted to mention that real quick before we started. So however you're doing it, go for it. I say do it all. Try everything. Just make sure that you don't give up in anything that you do. Really. I mean, people give up in both places. So that's my little motivational speech, I guess. So Patrick, that is the person that I'm interviewing. I've been following him since he started Code Bootcamp in July, and he'll be graduating in March 15th. It's pretty crazy to think about. He's only got like 3 months left. Basically, I've been showing his struggles, his ups and downs. He's almost quit, not once, but twice. And then the next week, he's like, yo, I got this. And then the next week, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, anyways, Patrick is a student at Lambda School, and he's showing us what it's all about, what it's like to be a student in Code Bootcamp, because I didn't film mine, unfortunately. So I was like, you know what, let's show his. So anyways, that's Patrick, student Lambda School, full-time web development. If you don't know what Lambda School is, it's a code school, 7.5 months long for full-time, totally remote. It has an income share agreement where you don't pay anything until you get a job making $50,000 or more. You pay 17% of your income, or up to $30,000. So you'll never pay over $30,000. They also have a pay up front method, which is $20,000 up front. If you're interested in Lambda School, there's a link in the description. If you use that link and sign up with it, you get $250 when you graduate Lambda School, and you help support the channel. So if you're interested, check it out using that link. I really hope that this project shows insight into what it's like to build projects at a Code Bootcamp. I mean, this project, he's going to have to present it to a group of engineers, possible employers, and they might hire him because of it, or him or his team or everyone in general. And so this is what it's like. I hope you guys can gain something out of it, if not just some inspiration from the project that he built. So the technologies he used to build this project were React, Redux, Express Node, Connects, PostgreSQL, OpenWeather's API, USDA API, and Stripe API. That's a whole lot going on in an application of just a few people, and then there's a mobile version of it too for the iOS team. Anyways, that's what this video is. I hope you enjoy it. Press F to pay respects for Patrick. And thanks for doing the video with me, Patrick, as always. And I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so over the 3 weeks that you did Lambda Labs, you've been meeting with career coaches and keeping a blog of everything that you've been doing on top of building the project.
I've applied to a little over 24 jobs right now. But I mean, it's Christmas time. It's before the end of the year. It's expected that it's going to be slow and probably no responses until during the new year.
What does a Lambda Labs project look like when it's done? We need to know.
Right, so unfortunately, I don't have our first iteration of the UI, which looked it was okay, but it's not professional standard, right? It was okay for something that was basically like drawn up and just something that you can get the features going with. But I do have the second iteration and then the third iteration, which is our final iteration. So I'm going to go ahead and show the second iteration first, and then I'll show you the third iteration right after. So this was our landing page of our second iteration. So essentially, we wanted something that was kind of clean, a little bit modern, and very just easy for you to kind of digest visually. And so one of the things we were told is that flat design photos are kind of like a big thing now because it's just they look good. And so for our landing page, we have, you know, our basic kind of like a little bit of a quote, sign up, log in, and then we have kind of just an explanation of what our app is supposed to do with some photos to kind of, you know, complement that. And so then from here, you'd go, okay, well, if I want to sign up or log in, you would click on one, and then you have kind of like we were a little inspired by Instagram sign up and log in for it because we were going for that modern aesthetic. And so we have, you know, email, password, you can choose to log in, or you can log in with Google, which is Auth0. We also have an app on the App Store with iOS. So that's a reminder for the web people if they're like, oh, okay, well, I can just download the phone version then. Then you click log in. All right. And so just kind of a first iteration, like, you know, adding your zip code if you want, whatever. And so this was kind of like, you know, a couple of things you could do. You could create a new meal. You could create a recipe, or you could go to like your recipe book, which wasn't in that iteration. Alarms, adding alarms, settings page, and then just the ability to log out. We never got around to implementing this. We were trying to do kind of like a fuzzy search so you could look for everything that's associated with your account in this. You know, it was a second iteration of the UI. We were kind of getting a feel for where we wanted to go direction-wise. But we had functionality, right? So that was what was important, is making sure that that was in there. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the third iteration, which is the most current iteration and the one that we're working with now. So this is the new landing page. And as you can see, a lot has changed, right? We're no longer using as much box shadow. The quote is moved down, and we're starting to bring in a little bit more of like a color now is a little darker up here on the top. We now have kind of a call to action, you know, a little bit more about what the app is about right in front of you before you even scroll down. We moved the quote down. We've kind of added different flat design photos, made it a little nicer, a little prettier. You can actually see here at the top, if you click on this, it'll actually scroll you down. You know, we now have our pricing, and then the team, right? There's me. Still some lorem ipsum in here. We're going to replace that. Like I said, we still have a fifth or a sixth and a seventh week that we're still going to come back to, but that's going to be in the middle of CS and at the end of CS. So you guys will get to see that as well, I'm sure. So we actually grabbed some of these and pieced them together ourselves. They're free to use, but we did include the author as part of our documentation and the credits for that. So that's in there. Yeah, so I was using Figma to create that second iteration, the more modernistic design, if you guys want to go ahead and see that. Yeah, so like I used Figma for that second iteration. And I just kind of showed this to everybody and asked, what do you guys think for like a second iteration? What do you think? And so we kind of went with it. And so that, and you know, we built on top of this, which is how we got to this point. Login still works a little bit the same. I mean, we've kind of changed stuff a little. S.com. You can see the animation's now different. It's no longer just like the orange and yellow of before. We now have it kind of going up to things. So we're going to have this so that when you click on it, you can actually type within this box. And if you hit enter, it'll save it. And so every time you log in, it'll say the name. These are hard-coded in, but you're basically going to have the ability to show your stats, like how many meals you've had, recipes, etc. We're going to make this a little better. So instead of being able to click on it, and we're going to change it so it's kind of like a swipe step through of how you do the app. But we just have that in here now for proof of, you know, concept. And then coming in here, you can do like create a new recipe. Say I wanted to make the recipe name meatball marinara. We'll have one serving of that, and then meatballs. I made this myself. I created this whole thing. So it's infinite scroll, and this utilizes the USDA API for all that. So let's say all natural turkey meatballs and tomato sauce, and then spaghetti. That. And so you can see the protein information all comes down here. We click on save recipe. It gives you a little thing saying it successfully created it, and it brings you back. And then if we go look at our recipe book, meatball marinara is in there. All right. Let's say you wanted to take that, make a meal with it. You choose the date. This is supposed to be servings. We still have to add some stuff. It was delish. Yeah, so like I said, there's still some stuff we have to add. Like we have to put like recipe and then date, servings, notes. There's still some UI things we need to fix, but like I said, we're going to come back to those on week 6 and 7. So we're not necessarily done, but we're very, very close. And then we're utilizing the Open Weathers API. Like I would be able to click on this and then it would take my zip code, which is what you saw originally at the beginning. And you would be able to get your weather info in this box and it saves with the meal. And so you can see now we have a list of our meals and you can say if the experience was bad or good, like you would come back to it and say, oh, I wasn't feeling too good. And so now that that's saved, when you click on it, it does like a put request. And then we used Stripe for the premium. So one of the things that they told the person who asked about making this app, this is actually handed down to us from Austin himself. So I guess the idea is that sometimes the weather can affect how a person feels. And they want to make sure that there's, certain things you can see if you can export everything out to a piece of paper in CSV form. And you can see, okay, well, only when hot dogs made me feel bad, but only when the weather was like this humid or it was below this degree of temperature, right? So it's to help a doctor. If you were to bring this to a doctor, it's supposed to help them figure out, okay, well, is this something that you're eating that's causing you to feel this way? Or is it something in the weather? Because there's so many factors that can go into making a person not feel very good.
I'm gonna need you to open that inspector, boy, and put that into mobile mode. What's it look like?
Oh, it is not mobile ready. That's for sure. If you want to see it mobile wise.
Ooh, top notch. Ready to deploy production today.
We do have tablet view ready though.
You still have to work 2 weeks on that project before you're totally done?
Correct.
And then computer science, or you start computer science, then stop for a week, and then...
Okay, so the way it's going to work is computer science portion is 10 weeks, right? And so in between those 10 weeks, kind of week 5-ish, will be a lab 6 week. And then at the end of CS, after the 10th week, will be the lab 7 week. And the lab 7 week is when we make the demo video. It's basically done. Everything works. It looks beautiful. And we make our demo video to show the hiring part. December.
You just got one boot camp left to go. Literally.
Yep. I've been through almost 3 boot camps, technically.
We should do a video of you either doing the hackathon, of like what you've built when it's done, and then we should also do a video if the people want to see, like, looking at all of the hackathon projects.
I was actually thinking of streaming the whole hackathon 30 hours straight. Start to finish.
Donate a 36-pack of monsters to Patrick. Press F to donate.
Yep, please keep me awake. It was so funny. I was actually joking with our the section lead for the labs because one of the things he would always say is like, okay guys, remember, go to sleep, get good rest, don't stay up all night working on your labs project. And then I'm like, so hackathon, we're staying up for 30 hours straight. I guess the whole idea of resting and not hurting ourselves is out the window. And he laughed and he's like, only for labs, but for the hackathon you guys should stay up.
Pretty competitive with other boot camps, and obviously... No. Come here. Do my job, please. Sit down. I just want to do my job, please. That's all. Sit down. I just want to film. Let me do my job.